Hey guys, it's the Conic, and in this one I wanted to quickly go over my TLI Lunaria season starter, the Frost Magi Iris 1 setup. I've been getting a lot of questions about it, so before we go into it, I just want to say that I have written an extensive build guide that will be in the description. It is as detailed as I could make it, and there are still things that I'm going to add to it, but just understand that there's a lot of information here, and for some it might be too much information, but I try to make it as comprehensive as possible so you would have a really good time following it. And that build guide is going to be linked in the description. So in this video, I'm just going to be talking about my experience so far getting to where I am currently. T8, I'm about 3 billion DPS, as you can see. It's kind of very my damage kind of fluctuates a bit. You'll notice I start off very high and then it goes down. This is because of the fact that my Magi's have an empower skill that makes it so the next non-empower ability that is cast has a big damage multiplier. So, and we trigger it passively just on cooldown. So whenever I don't hit the dummy, it procs it, and my ultimate is going to be the next one. So it's going to have the biggest multi. And then, as you can see, all through this progression, it doesn't really get it can line up to where the ultimate gets it again, but it is less consistent. It is always going to have some form of multi once they are stage 4, but it is not always going to be the maximum, or even, you know, the second maximum amount. It's a very random amount because they spam their base abilities as often as they do. It's the consequence of the way the minions functions, essentially. So this build essentially is going to, or leveled as 5 majors, and I will say this has been the strongest I have felt going through the campaign at any point. I finished the campaign in under 2 hours. That's a first for me. I do not practice TLI campaign or anything of the sort. I was very impressed. They have a lot of damage. I just want to start off with a lot of damage. Now the progression to T7 was also very smooth. I got pretty lucky, got an omniscient prototype, I think, after killing Kitava. But actually he's called Ordrak in this game. So after killing Ordrak and completing the campaign, I noticed I had an omniscient prototype. I don't know if it was from him or if it was from some treasure trove I didn't notice. I think I'd have noticed the treasure trove, so I think it's from him. But in any case, I got that drop, and I've gotten a few big drops here and there, so that has really helped me keep me going, because my experience with farming strats they've been okay. They've just not been any insane amount of currency whatsoever, so we'll see. God's Right got nerfed. I have tested it extensively, like 50 maps, and small sample size, I know, well, kind of worse, but this is all sidetracking. If you haven't already, do consider liking and subscribing, as it helps the channel out a lot. Back to the build. I'm going to cover a bit about what my gear looks like in case you're curious. I have build codes, multiple build codes, and each build code I'm going to put in the sheet as well in case you don't see them on pro builds for some reason. But I have one for after campaign, one for how I beat T7 Traveler, Frost Magi, swap from Fire Magi, and then where I currently am, on the closest where I currently am. Full disclaimer, Iris 1 is squishier than Iris 2. So you start off, and as you're going through it, there will be points, especially when you unlock your 3rd hero traits, this guy, where you will be squishy because this makes you take more damage. But eventually, once you have a bit of cooldown from other sources, you can switch to this, and suddenly you will be in a much better spot defensively. And now my next upgrades are probably going to have a bit of offensive ability to it, and also some slight defensive nudges as well. What I'm thinking on that front is eventually I'm just going to ignore growth until I'm ready for priceless bases, and that would involve dropping this for a light hunter belt, moving my Frost Magi to this spot, and then using Energy Fortress and reserve that my life. That is the current plan for getting tank here, and then going for as big of an ES pool as I can, of course. But that's by the way. Our gear is currently non-corroded except my lady's tier. I literally just got this before the recording, so none of the footage you might see would have this. Then we have, like I said, we're trying to get as much cooldown reduction as possible. for this build, and the reason we're doing that is because our Magi inherits our cooldown recovery thanks to the Vengeance support gem, which makes it so our cooldown recovery affects them. So we're trying to get as much cooldown recovery from different sources as we can. This makes it so their ultimate has a shorter cooldown, and their Empire skills have shorter cooldowns as well. This we're getting from this as a dream affix, which was free for me basically. We're getting it from hero memories. Each one of these has a cooldown recovery tag to it, cooldown recovery as a fixed affix. And then we also got lucky on this one, the memory thing, the revive memory system, and he was this slot. So now we also have cooldown recovery here. So pretty good, pretty good all in all. So that's kind of what I'm thinking on the way forward. Then something important to talk about before that might not be obvious from the guide, and I might not actually write this, is currently I am using Dirty Tricks, which is this keystone that gives you and your minions additional hit damage for every type of ailment the enemy has. This is really good because it's a 12% more hit damage that multiplies itself. So you don't end up with 12 plus 12 plus 12 as the multiplier, but rather 12 times 12 times 12, which will end up being a bigger number. And then we end up getting these six different ailments, which, if you don't know what the ailments are, it is numbed, ignite, frostbite, frozen, wilt, and trauma. How we get that is pretty simple. We already get to 100 frostbite rating, so that is frozen and frostbite. So for wilt, trauma, all of that, we are currently using this affix to give our minions base trauma, base ignite, and base wilt damage. And then we are using one of these guys to get chance for ailments. These two combined basically gives us all the ailments we need to get the max multiplier. And so this ends up being a very big damage multiplier. So just putting that in here because it might not be apparent why I am going for the ailment stuff that I am going, but that is why. And as a side note, that also enables me to use ailment termination. Before this, I was using something else like increase AoE, but so far the build has been very strong. I really can't complain. I'm currently in T8. Player is kind of good. It's actually pretty decent. I actually can one-shot things with your ultimate. The only problem is, like I said earlier, a bit on the squishier side, but that's just by consequence of being Iris 1 rather than Iris 2, and being early on in progression, trying to squeeze as much damage as possible on our journey to Traveler, essentially. And on that note as well, before I forget, numbed is coming from our Grim Phantoms. This is the sole reason we are using Grim Phantoms. They are our numb applicators because they do lightning damage, and we give them high voltage to apply numbed. Also, in relation to Dirty Tricks, I just realized I forgot to say that. So yeah, that's part of the equation as well. I will also be making a full dedicated video build guide later on about this build to really go over the ins and outs and the goals of the build overall. This was more supposed to be like a summary just to get people to see what the build looks like and how it feels like, and the general idea, and also to put my guide, my Google Sheets out there, because that is going to be a source of all the information you currently have until I make that video. So if you're a visual learner, that might take, a bit of time for me to really get comfortable with everything that is in the build, see how it performs, and then give you guys realistic expectations and all of that. So just in time, I'm not going to wait until I fully scaled and got into SS20 or anything like that. That's not what we're going to be doing. But I think once I hit profound, that should be a decent spot to be like, okay, how does this build feel? How much scaling do I still have? And do I think it can beat SS20? And then we can go from there. But full disclosure, I 100% think it can be SS20. Similar builds as of last season on Iris 1 could beat SS20, and Iris got big buffs, and there's like so many different scaling factors that I have zero doubt that this build will be able to beat SS20. But seeing is believing, right? So we're going to be doing some scaling first before we cover all of that. If you like the video, do consider liking and subscribing. Helps the channel out a lot. If you're playing TLI and you're playing some other class or some other build, I am very curious as to what other people are playing. So do let me know in the comment section below. And if you have any questions, suggestions, anything at all, feel free to drop it in the same place, comment section. Or course, as always, you can always stop by my stream. I've been streaming for pretty much long hours since the release. I've been having a lot of fun, so I've been live a lot. And soon after this video also gets updated or published, I will be live as well. So you can expect to see me and also have a place to ask more questions if you so choose to. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. And with all that said, thank you for watching.